Alright, we're here this evening to check out this 1/2-inch impact gun by AOBEN, is how I'm going to guess that is pronounced. Don't have a real formal way to test or compare these, but I do have a couple other contenders here, including one that is suspiciously similar, yet not the same. So the main reason I have my trusty Porter cable sitting out here is just to show how impressively small some of these new brushless tools are becoming. This is rated to have, I think, upwards of double the foot-pounds that this Porter cable can do, and the Porter cable is absolutely dwarfs the AOBEN in weight and size. If you needed to get under your lawnmower to take off a rusty spindle bolt or something, it's going to be much easier to do with something like this versus something like that. And this tool is brushed, traditional brush motor. We have brushless technology in the AOBEN, and they include a 4 amp hour, approximately 21 volt battery. You see 21, 20, 20. These are all 18 volt batteries is what they really are. They're just talking about the maximum voltage hot off the charger. Both of these batteries are hot off the charger. This one came with a 4 amp hour. This look-alike here, I really like this tool too, by Savum, only came with a 3 amp hour battery. Not to knock on them, I really like this one, and I think I'm going to like this one based on how similar they are. We're not going to need the Porter cable for much else, so it's just kind of a little suspicious. The batteries interchange between these, but that's not that weird. They both have a light on the front, and they both have the same control system down on their bases. They're essentially working the same, so you pull the trigger a little bit and you can see your battery life on the right shows for a moment, and then depending on if both these tools are in the forward direction, so the single LED here on each of these is indicating that they're in low power mode versus a high power mode. They both work the same, so I'm just going to pull the AOBEN one aside here to show you that in forward you have high and low, so in low you get, if you go to high power, very dramatic change there. I'm going to put it back to low. Now it's only this one button, but it matters which way you have the tool. So if I put the tool into reverse, you no longer have a high and low. In the reverse setting, you have an option for the brake stop to be on or off. And the brake stop is kind of cool. The brake stop will automatically shut off the motor when it detects that the fastener has come loose. It won't do it when there's no fastener, but when it's enabled, it will basically automatically stop in that mode rather than fling the fastener across the shop, which is kind of cool. And these both have that same feature, but they don't work identically the same. This one will actually stop without a fastener. So you can see I still have the trigger pulled. It stops when the fastener has come out, but this one didn't detect a fastener, so it just kept running. But essentially the same type of control system on both of them, with a high-low in the forward direction and a battery readout and a brake stop feature. Not identical though. As similar as they are, the anvil head on the AOBEN has its mounting bolts through the face, whereas on our Savoom they go through the back here, and there's just a few subtle differences. I can't tell a huge difference in weight between them without their batteries, and they're pretty similar in length. The AOBEN has maybe a slightly longer power head, and I mean by a fraction of an inch, 1/8 inch to 1/4 at most, but slightly longer. And this one is rated for higher torque, so it could have a little bit different motor there, but pretty comparable. I don't really have any good way to directly compare them, but I have a few old bolts lying around, so I'm thinking we're just going to stick one of these in the vise and try to, I don't know exactly what we're going to do. Run the tools on that bolt and see if we can break it, or get it so tight that one of them can't undo it, or something. We're just going to wing that a little bit. Nothing scientific. See what happens, but you know, handling, fit, finish, good balance. It's similar to the Savoom, but much nicer than this very heavy Porter cable. So I don't know, let's see if we can break a bolt and do something interesting. Alright, my apologies about the state of the shop and the workbench around here. Just kind of a mess, but it is what it is. Let's just run this bolt in a little bit with the old brushed Porter cable and see how that looks. Now we've run out of thread, so now we're going to see if we can break stuff a little bit or something. Alright, I think that's about as good as the Porter cable is going to drive that poor thing. It should be fairly difficult to remove, one would think. So, let's see if the AOBEN in reverse, and we'll turn on the brake stop feature, see if we can demo that. We'll see if the AOBEN will pull that out, although I'm pretty sure it will. We'll see if we can demo the brake stop feature. There's no speeds in reverse, it's just out with it. So let's see. I might have underestimated my Porter cable. We drove that poor bolt in there pretty hard. So let's see, just double checking that there is no high or low in reverse. In reverse it's just out. That's pretty impressive work of the Porter cable. Not exactly the spot that I thought we were going to be in here a minute ago. Just for fun, let me grab the Savoom, put that guy in reverse, and see if that one will pull out this bolt. No, apparently the Porter cable drove that thing in plenty hard. Well, I wonder if the Porter cable itself can remove its own bolt, or if we just deformed the threads that much that it's just done for. That's pretty interesting. So the Porter cable is not actually rated to have more torque than those brushless guns. This is not at all what I was expecting to find. This isn't even an original battery. This is just some aftermarket 3 amp hour battery. Apparently we've deformed the threads on the nut because it's turning very hard all the way out. We got about halfway out there. So Since it's getting interesting, let's go back to our AOBEN. Now that the Porter cable has loosened it, let's see if the AOBEN can keep that train going. Came out pretty easy once the Porter cable loosened it. Let's drive it back in on low power. Yeah, put it on high power and give it a little bit more beans. Getting kind of warm, it looks like. Being awfully hard on that fastener. So, having put it in as hard as the AOBEN will do it, let's see if the AOBEN will pull it out. Easily. Alright. Gave it a pretty hard push with the AOBEN. Let's see if the Porter cable will drive it further. Watch closely to see if this thing moves. Not much different. A little tighter maybe. Go back to the AOBEN and see if we can pull that guy out. That's the brake stop feature in action. See, it would normally, I'm still holding the trigger, yes, with my middle finger instead of my index finger. It's just what happened. It actually stopped spinning rather than just flinging the whole bolt out. So when brake stop is on, that will just stop once the fastener is loose. Kind of nice, but if you don't like it, you can turn it off. You can just run something in and out. So I don't know if this thing makes its advertised and rated foot poundage, because it should not be able to be outgunned by that old brushed motor Porter cable tool, but it's really close. It can more or less, didn't quite manage to undo the bolt the first time after the Porter cable had really cranked and deformed those threads, but that was a worst case scenario kind of test. Now that it's going, it seems to be able to undo the Porter cable's work, albeit with a little bit of work. So it's a pretty powerful tool with a large battery, and even though it might not be the most powerful thing in the shop, I still like this for the smaller power head and the ease of getting into tighter spots with this, and a little bit more lightweight. So other than really big bolts, you're never going to have any trouble with this on regular car and truck lug nuts, I don't think. So it's a pretty safe bet if you want a lightweight, easy handling, but powerful impact gun. It's pretty cool, and the brake stop feature is pretty nice. The Porter cable doesn't have that. So I would say this is a winning unit. Hi.
The box. Like butter. Let's try another one. Like butter. That's crazy.